Today we will talk about Jorge Cañizares Guerra's 2005 article, How Derivative Was Humboldt, Microcosmos Nature Narratives in Early Modern Spanish America and the Other Origins of Humboldt's Ecological Sensibilities. Alexander von Humboldt has long been hailed as the founding father of the science of ecology and a genius. He has been credited with single-handedly creating a new discipline that relied on painstaking measurement to identify uncharted regularities in the mechanism of the planet as a whole. Humboldt, for example, demonstrated that individual species were part of larger plant communities, and that these communities were distributed geographically according to environmental variables such as elevation above sea level, temperature, and soil composition. After a lengthy visit to Spanish America between 1799 and 1804, Humboldt went on to publish some 30 volumes on subjects ranging from botany to the political economy of Cuba and Mexico, consolidating his reputation as one of the leading 19th century scientists. Cañizares Guerra criticizes that most of the historical analysis on Humboldt remained wedded to the notion that exotic places are worth mentioning solely as backdrops to the exploits of European naturalists. He finds that most historians give no place in their studies for the discourses and ideas circulating in Spanish America that could have influenced Humboldt. His article proposes a new narrative for the history of biodistribution that takes seriously the intellectual milieu Humboldt encountered in Spanish America and that takes into account the discourses about space and nature formulated in Spanish America during the 17th and 18th centuries. Cañizares Guerra seeks to trace the Euro-Creole origins of biodistribution. Geobotany was born of the encounter between two thinkers, namely Humboldt and the late 18th century Colombian naturalist Francisco José de Caldas. Caldas was a self-taught naturalist and astronomer who, after having dazzled Humboldt, became one of the leading naturalists in José Celestino Mutis's botanical expedition to Nueva Granada. Celebrated by Humboldt for his fabulous collection of South American plants and natural history books on the tropics, the powerful Mutis hired Caldas, who spent the following 3 years from 1802 to 1805 traveling throughout the Ecuadorian Andes, identifying and classifying varieties of quinine plants for his supporter. In 1801, when he encountered Humboldt in Colombia, Caldas was already charting the geographical distribution of plants in the northern Andes. By the time Humboldt published his 1805 Essai sur la géographie des plantes in France, Caldas had already produced several biogeographical maps of the northern Andes in 1802, a memoir on the geographical distribution of plants near the equator in 1803, and a study of distribution of quinine relative to height above sea level and temperature in 1805. These documents clearly indicate that Caldas was thinking about mapping biodistribution in terms identical to those later made public by Humboldt. This dialogue is what Cañizares Guerra refers to as the Euro-Creole origins of the theories of biodistribution. The encounter with the Andes could not have failed to impress Humboldt. His trip to Spanish America was not planned in advance. He had actually been trying to go to Egypt. He did not voyage to South America deliberately looking to prove European speculations on biodistribution. His encounter with the Andes was serendipitous. Prompted by the ceaseless rhetoric about the microcosmos virtues of the Andes, Humboldt began to think of these mountains as a laboratory for testing theories of biodistribution. Historians have managed to write histories of biogeography without acknowledging that crucial components of Humboldt's idea did not emerge in Europe. Humboldt arrived in Spanish America humming with discourses of nature. He learned to read the Andes as a natural laboratory for studying the geography of plant communities only because local scholars like Caldas had for years been toying with this idea.